And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. So, for tonight's podcast episode, we're doing a little bit of something different. We're actually diving into a little bit of chick flicks here, and we're going to be doing our review of A Walk to Remember. This movie came out in 2002. This movie also has one of the guys from an Eminem music video from Stan in it, and also Final Destination. And that is Shane West. He's in it, and then of course Mandy Moore's in this movie too. This movie was something that came out back when I was in high school, and I remember when in 03 when one of our teachers went and made us watch this movie, and I remember every single girl was just bawling their eyes out in this film, and you can't help but bawl your eyes out in this film. I'm looking at Charlie.
Why? Because I don't have a soul.
Right, you don't have a soul. But basically, I'm just going to go into the plot details, and then we'll go into certain scenes and what we liked and stuff like that. So basically, it's about this misfit who winds up and ending up in, he's a troublemaker. He's getting in trouble at school. Nobody really likes him or anything like that. And so he actually has to do detention, and that's where he meets Mandy Moore's character, Jamie. And Landon's actually the character that's being portrayed by Shane West. And basically, they wind up falling in love. But before we get into that, he has to go through a bunch of other stuff before they actually fall in love. And so, what did you guys think about the initial setup when we actually see Landon go jumping off that huge cliff? And then, of course, his friends are doing something crazy as well. One of his friends actually get hurt. And then there's a high-speed chase. And with the cops, and of course, Landon has his classic red Mustang in there. So I'm going to go on ahead and let Sarah go first and tell me what your thoughts are for this.
About the whole movie or just that scene?
With that scene, not only that, but I know you haven't seen this film. So for
Yes.
and this is also Charlie's first time as well. I want to get everybody's first time perspective of this film, since I've already seen this film before. So I just want to get everybody's perspective of it.
So with that scene, I was kind of taken aback when I thought the guy died at first. And I was like, this is starting out brutal. And I knew the movie was like PG because I looked it up on IMDb and it said PG. And I was like, what the heck? Like, did they just murder this guy in the first like 5 minutes? But he was okay. So that kind of shook me. And then I feel like the movie just never stops at that point and just goes and goes. I really like this movie. I knew a lot of the beats. I kind of seen like scenes before, but I've never watched the actual movie all the way through. But for me, it was still really good, even knowing what was going to happen. I think the acting's really strong. I don't typically like cheesy chick flick movies. This is not my jam at all. Especially like Nicholas Spark movies, I'm not the biggest fan of. But I really like this one. I feel like it doesn't really hit a lot of those cliches. I feel like it does kind of start his cliches that now his movies are kind of known for. But yeah, I really like it. I think it's good for females and for like the girls that are going to drag their boyfriends to go watch this movie. I feel like the guys can kind of enjoy it where it's not like The Notebook or any of the other Valentine's Day movies.
Right. And I'm going to get to my thoughts on that in a few minutes on what you just mentioned. But Charlie, what did you think of this?
The opening's like, and when I found out this was PG, I'm like, what? This is PG? And then I was like, and then when you watch the rest of the movie, I'm like, how did they get away with this stuff? I mean, it's like the battle, the opening sequence where the guy's bleeding out of his mouth and looked like he's about to die. I'm like, geez. I mean, Shane West isn't even in ER and didn't even be in ER yet, so you can't help him. Because Shane West was in ER for a couple of seasons, and then so it's just funny when I found Shane West was in this. Like, I'm familiar with Shane West because I watched Nikita when it was on CW, and that show was awesome, and he was great in that. So I'm like, anytime I see him, I just keep thinking of him as Michael. I'm like, this is not something Michael would do, and would Nikita approve of this? No, I thought it was decent. I mean, like I said, I don't typically watch these type of movies, but what like I said, what happened in it hits home to me because the type of cancer that Mandy Moore's character have, I had that when I was little.
Oh wow!
I had leukemia, so I was very familiar with the cancer that she had, and this kind of hit close to home for me. And then the whole high school thing that hit close because the popular kids and all that like cliches like that. It hit because, like I said, school was not fun for me. I was bullied too, so I'm like I felt more towards the Jamie character. And it's just funny. Anytime I kept watching and hearing Jamie, I'm like, wait a minute, was that the character name in the spoof movie, Not Another Teen Movie? Because I figure like some stuff from Not Another Teen Movie was spoofed from this movie in a sense. That is because that was my first foray into these types of romantic comedies was Not Another Teen Movie. So a lot of the cliches I picked up because of that movie. But yeah, like I said, you felt for the characters, and I liked Landon. And I hated his friends, except for his buddy Eric. Hated everybody else.
Right.
Like I said, like the whole them pulling the prank on Jamie, which was not cool. Like I said, I mean these popular kids were just pricks. Except for Landon, like he was one of them, but then he changed, and then you just felt bad for him, and it's just like I said, I thought it was decent. But yeah, that opening sequence, like, dang, how they get away with this with PG? It's like same with Jaws. How do they get away with the kid getting eaten and you see them in the shark's mouth? And that was PG.
Oh
that should have been R.
Yeah.
Jaws should have been R.
And there's blood. There's actually blood there too. So the blood splatter thing must have been something new later on that they cooked up. But, you know, it was just kind of unusual how they got away with certain things back in the 70s and 80s and even early 2000s with some of the ratings that they actually had. But, you know, it feels like at the very beginning, it feels like a very manly movie because you actually have a high-speed chase going on with Shane's character, Landon, and then the cop is looking at him, and then Landon just doesn't give a crap about anybody but himself. He's very self-centered, egotistical, womanizing type of personality as well with his friends. And even whenever they're making fun of Jamie and everything, you can definitely tell there's some hesitation there where he doesn't want to do it, but there's that peer pressure. If I don't do it, then I'm not going to be popular or anything like that. That's going to mean that I'm going to like this girl, even though that I don't really have that much connection with her right now or anything like that. But you know, there's that peer pressure right there that I really liked, where it was just very well balanced. You could tell just in the way he was looking and how he hesitated. It's like he was thinking about it. He's like, should I do it or should I not do it? And then all of a sudden he does it, and his friends are laughing, cutting up, and so is he. Then, of course, even during detention, he's making fun of the whole entire astronomy thing, where she's drawing up the pictures, and of course he's not even making anything out of it. He's just doing the floors like a janitor would do and stuff like that. He's not even paying that much close attention to anything. Like I said, all he cares about is himself at this point. And also too, Jamie's father is also a preacher who looks down on Landon for everything he's doing, and he doesn't want his daughter to be associated with Landon at all. There's that conflict there with father and daughter. You have everything going for it whenever you look at not rom-com, but like a romantic movie that is geared towards the teenage years. I think they actually know what movie that they're actually making and who it was geared towards. But Sarah, what did you think about some of the stuff that I mentioned with the conflict with the father? Then you also have the detention stuff and things like that.
I thought the dad was really mean and really judgmental. I wrote down in my notes, like, wow, he's a pastor and he's like super judgmental towards this guy the whole time until the very end. But even when like Landon was showing that he cared for Jamie early on, the dad was still just like really rude, wanted like give like trust and compassion, which I was just like, you're a pastor, that goes against everything you stand for. But whatever. So that was taking me off, but I understand. And all the stuff with like the clique and the friends, I don't know, I feel like this movie was pretty realistic in the sense of like high school. It wasn't, no one was too mean. I mean, I guess the prank was pretty mean with the picture. I don't really get it. Like, I don't understand. Maybe I'm just like, I don't think that's terrible. I mean, that's terrible, but I'd be like, oh, they think I have a good looking body underneath of all my clothes. Like, okay, but I mean, I can get why it's embarrassing, but I'm kind of like, I don't know. She should have owned it. Like, just laugh along with it. But I get it.
I think I know why, though. It's just because of the thought that she's actually the preacher's daughter.
Yeah.
And she's being shamed for that, and she doesn't want her family's name to be shamed. And then also, too, they also give her hell already. So
That's
to
true.
see her body being photoshopped, too.
That's true.
And her character is one of those characters where she's very shy, very timid, and very standoffish. Where she's not going to be one of those characters that says, yeah, that's my body. What are you going to do about it?
That's true. That's true. I definitely relate to her a lot. When I was in high school, I was very quiet. I was the shy, like, Christian girl that wore sweaters all the time, so I completely relate. Like, the same sweater every day. I completely understand. I was in the musicals. I was like, I literally this character, so I completely understand. So I just relate to her, but yeah, I don't know.
What about you, though, Charlie? What did you think?
Again, I didn't like. I thought the pastor is kind of like ironic that he's supposed to be. He's not preaching what he's saying in a sense, and he's this complete dick to Landon. So it was nice to see him turn towards the end, like helping Landon out when he was building the telescope or whatever he was creating. I think it was telescope.
It was
helping him out. Yeah. I think it was telescope, and he's helping him out. I'm like, oh wow, he's doing a complete 180. And then at the end of it, when when Landon gives up the book that she gave him, and it's just not like it's this to see him like say, hey Landon, how you doing? Like he's like he actually cares for him, which was actually kind of nice. And then the click thing, that was like the one girl, like the clearly jealous girl because Landon dumped her, had the right mind to dump her. Yeah, she was awful. But it's just it was just very clicky, and it's just like and I'm like a lot of that was like I was like, man, that's like not another teen movie completely pretty much did some stuff from this movie in a sense, and it's just because that's the one thing I keep coming back to because I don't watch. I just remember that movie vividly, but a lot of the stuff just seems to come out at me about it, and then it's just. But yeah, Sarah, you mentioned everything pretty much else about like how it feels like high school, like that like I think because ironically it felt like Dawson's Creek, like a Dawson's Creek episode, but it wasn't Dawson's Creek, because actually it was filmed in the exact location where Dawson's Creek was filmed at. The same setting, and I just watched the show. It had it was like a fast food show, and James Vanderbeek was on. I'm like, oh, yeah, here's Dawson's Creek. So it just felt very Dawson Creek-esque in a sense that I never watched the show, but just watched this movie. I'm like, yeah, I think they summed up Dawson's Creek pretty much for me.
Yeah.
And you know what though? I like when Landon calls the preacher out on his own BS. He's like, all want to show is the same compassion, the same kind of thing that you teach every day and on Sunday in church. And I want the same compassion that you teach about forgiveness, about looking into the person's soul. And that's what I want from you. I want to have the respect. And that's all. Then, of course, the father, I liked also, too, Landon went face to face with him. Because remember, Jamie was like, I can't date until I move out or something on those lines. I cannot date at all in high school. So he goes up to the preacher, to their father, he goes, I want to date your daughter. And his father's looking at him like hell you are. But, I'll burn you with fire and brimstone before I let that happen. But, I love the little dinner scene that they have. It was real. Even it did feel like a Dawson Creek episode, to be honest with you. What would you have? Sweet tea. Nah, you're like 18 years old. You're not going to have alcohol or anything like that. But I thought it worked for what they were going for, though, to be honest with you. I had a chuckle at how cheesy it was just to have that scene out there on the front like that. But also, too, I liked the scene in the theater because that's also another stipulation that was part of Landon's thing, was he had to be in theater class. And he had to actually learn his lines. He couldn't BS it or anything like that. He actually had to go through with it. And even his friend who's making fun of the lines and everything go, come on, man, I need your help. And throughout the whole entire time, he's actually progressing even more. And then when Mandy Moore comes out there, Jamie comes out there and sings, his whole entire self just shuts down because he just saw how moving she was, how beautiful she was, and everything. And he saw there was just so much more to her in her inner beauty. That's what I got out of it. But I'm gonna go on ahead and ask Sarah on tell me what you think about some of the stuff.
I really liked all the theater stuff. Like I said, I was a high school theater kid. I was a theater major for a little bit, so this was my jam. I liked how realistic and how cheesy it felt, because sometimes you'll watch when movies and TV shows try to do like a theater episode and it's like so produced and so like lit really well and crazy, and this just felt like yeah, it felt real. Like it felt kind of awkward and cheesy, and I like that they just did this random show that they wrote, and it was weird. Like one guy was like, you should do West Side Story because everyone loves West Side Story, and then they wrote this like weird show. And I like the song that Jamie sang, even though it felt like a completely different, like it wouldn't have gone with whatever musical they wrote. But I didn't realize that I actually knew the song. Like I'm pretty sure that song and the song that was the end credits like played on the radio, because I'm a little bit younger. So when I was younger, like that played on the radio all the time, and I had no idea it was from this movie. And I was like, oh my God, that's this song? That's where it comes from? And it's actually like a Switchfoot song, which I didn't know that. Like I was just like, oh, like completely taken out of the movie, honestly, because I was like, oh, I had no idea that's what the song was. And that was Mandy Moore, because her voice is so different. I mean, she was younger, but I was like, her voice is really high. It's really auto-tuned, but that's okay. That's okay. It's fine. Right. Yeah, it was weird.
Like you said, it's theater class. It's not supposed to be perfect anyways, because I've done theater too. So
but it sounded perfect. It was weird. I was like, this sounds a little like just too clean, but it's okay.
Right. Exactly. What about you, Charlie? What did you like about it?
I like the again. I like the best friend, the black guy. Again, it goes. The common theme is I just keep remembering not another teen movie. He's the token black guy. He's just supposed to stand and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sorry, but it just keep reminding me of that. And then the fact is, hey man, I'm gonna be right there in the center row cheering you on, and he's sitting there sleeping the whole time. Yeah. Like I said, it's just like this him being what he like I said, he was the only guy of the popular kids that was actually enjoyable and actually had a redeeming quality about him, which was cool. And this is also kind of funny to see the mom, which is Daryl Hannah, is like, oh wow, she's an enormous suburban mom before she joins the Viper Squad in Kill Bill. She joins the squad 2 years later. So it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of funny scene, and you don't even recognize her. Like her face, like she looked old in this one, and like, and this is only 2001. She didn't get Kill Bill until 2003 ish. So it's this interesting scene that and then but yeah, again, I like this best friend. I thought that was funny, and then the cool part about like him, Landon showing Jamie, hey, you're on two different states. Like you're stepping on two different states, which actually was kind of cool.
I kind of choked up a little bit at that part. I was Virginia, like, "Oh my God, that's so sweet!"
like Virginia, I'm like, "Oh wow, that's not too far from where I live."
Yeah, I mean, that's literally like 2 hours from where I am right now. So I was like, I've crossed that multiple times.
But yeah, I liked her bucket list, and he was trying to do anything he could to get that bucket list completed. And he was even making jokes about it at first, and then the transformation happens where he starts caring about her. He winds up doing the tattoo where it's a fake pull-on tattoo, which I thought was actually pretty cool. That he just went on ahead and did that just to get that off the bucket list for her, and going to two states at the same, going to two places at one time was on her list. And then also too, the whole entire astronomy thing was pretty cool as well. I can relate to that because I'm a huge astronomy person too. So I'm a big, huge history nerd, and also geek when it comes down to Greek mythology and stuff like that too. I'm huge into that stuff. So I can relate to Jamie a lot when it comes down to that. So I thought that was actually cool though too, that Landon went on ahead and named a star after her.
I was crying at that point too. I was like, that is so sweet. It's their like second date or whatever. They named a star after her. Like, come on. My husband never named a star after me. Like, but
what about you, Charlie? Was there anything that you liked within this part or anything like that with the bucket list?
I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, like him egging her on, like, hey, what's your number one? And then, I like the kind of comedy that they try to like attack. Like he brought a blanket, and like we're gonna sit out here and look at like that, and like that. Well, that's why I brought 2 blankets.
Yeah,
and it's just I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But no, I just felt like I said. I mean, I like the transformation Landon went from beginning of the movie, and then before that, you didn't like. We don't even know what happened to the kid. They said he's hurt. So we don't even know what happened to the kid that wanted to join them. And then till later on in the movie where he finally goes and sees him, and he's like, you see the kid, and I'm like, oh, you feel so bad for the kid because he got pushed. Like he got peer pressured to doing this, and like just to be cool, the whole like fitting in with the cool kids, and then like you feel bad for him, and then you don't even see the other popular kids going to go see him. Well, maybe Eric. But
right.
Like he probably was the only one that went to go see him. But like, and the other popular kids, I'm like, they don't care. Again, they just try to do better.
Also, too, Landon left the poor guy for dead, basically.
Yeah,
pulls him out of the water, and then and then BS the cop saying, "Oh, I was just happened to be there for a ride, and then I decided that I saw him in the water and I pulled him out, and I ran off so that way it didn't look like I did anything."
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's also running from a cop, but you know.
Yeah. Well, him crashing the car, and then him staring at the cop, and I just kept thinking, "Oh yeah, is this really Michael's origin story? How he joins Division?" Because like I keep because like I said, all I keep thinking of him is Nikita. Because like he was on that like not the old one, but the 2010 version on CW, right, which is a show I recommend. But just seeing him was like, okay, he's told his story in the show. Is this really how he joins Division? Getting caught by the cops because leaving a guy for dead.
The very first time I actually saw him was in Final Destination, and then after that, a couple of years later, I saw him in the Eminem video for Stan. He was actually the Craze fan that was dyeing his hair just like M and everything else too. So the dude can act.
He does kind of look like Eminem. I guess. I guess. I don't know.
I don't know either.
He's got that doctor knowledge.
He looks very old. I know. Sometimes you're like, you're not in high school. He looked. No. To me, a little bit too old. I mean, I know like Mandy Moore was actually 17, and I think he was like 23 or so, but he looked like he was like 30 or something. It threw me off a little bit.
I mean, it did throw me off too, because I was like, again, because it wasn't, I think it was a couple years later, and then he might have done ER when he was young too, and he's got what they do for that show. I mean, all the knowledge they have to go through. I mean, I watched a lot of the retrospect behind the scenes, and you see him getting interviewed and the stuff that he had to go through during this show. I'm like, okay, he can definitely act.
Definitely. Then we also see the transformation with the preacher as well, with Jamie's dad, which I thought was really good. Like you mentioned too, Sarah, with the whole transformation from not liking him. And then I remember whenever Landon and her were kissing. He goes, okay, that's enough, Landon. That's enough. Say goodnight. Date's over.
Yeah.
But we're not done. Yeah, you're done. You know,
Oh, man.
and then he winds up respecting Landon because he realizes how much he actually cares for her. And then also too, he also has beef with Landon. Actually has beef with his biological father too in this, which is also why he's acting out the way he actually acts out. And he reaches out for help to his biological dad and say, look, I need your help. My girlfriend is dying and I don't know what else to do. My heart just dropped because of that and everything. And then seeing the love of a father, and I didn't think that his father was going to do anything or anything like that. I thought that was going to be the end of it. Next thing you know, he decides to help out Jamie and her father by giving them private care. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. What about you guys?
Yeah, I liked all of that. I think that was the moment when he goes, Landon goes back to his dad and tells him like thank you for the private care, and then just breaks down crying. Also broke my heart. I don't want to like jump back too far, but just my quick thought with the dad, the pastor. I really like how this movie kind of handled religion and like religious aspects, because I feel like nowadays or even back then, like they always make the Christian character like crazy, like the Christian girl is like this crazy character, and I don't think Jamie was. I just like the way they portrayed her, and I didn't feel like it was too shoving like religion and her faith in people's face either. I just feel like it was a respectable amount, and even with her saying like this is what I believe, and not so much like this is truth, but this is just what I believe and this brings me comfort. I thought it was handled very well, or I don't think anyone would be super offended, but that's just my opinion. But I liked how they handled it, because I know Nicholas Sparks is actually a very religious person, the author of the book, and in a lot of his movies a lot of his books rely heavily on that, and the movies kind of cut all that stuff out. So I like that they left a lot of that stuff in for the story. So
most definitely. Basically now Nicholas Sparks movies are pretty much in the category I like to actually call paint by numbers, where like everything is the same thing. I forgot what movie it was that I watched, and I was with someone, and chick flicks is not my thing. It's not my style. And I'm over there, and I'm like, the guy is dead.
Yeah.
Everybody in this book. And she goes, I did not see that coming. I said, did you not see the characters ignoring the character the whole time? How do you not know that character is dead?
Is that the one with Josh Duhamel or the one with Zac Efron? I think it's the Zac Efron one. Spoiler alert.
I did see the Zac Efron one too.
That one's terrible.
That was
I
bad.
hated
but
that.
It was the other one that you mentioned.
I think it was
the other one.
It was like Josh Duhamel, and I think it was the Michelle Monaghan.
Yeah.
Was it Michelle Monaghan? I think it was the
No, Michelle Monaghan is the one with James Marsden, which I didn't see that one. I didn't realize there were so many Nicholas Sparks movies until I looked them up. I was like, oh my god. No, it's like Josh Duhamel, Julian Huff, and Colby Smulders.
That was the one I saw.
That was the one. Safe Haven. They're like all dead or some spoilers.
Yeah, there was like one person that was dead. There was so many years after something happened. And
that's how all his books are now. Like they all have like a little bit of a twist, and like there's always one character who's running away from the law or who's in trouble or like a drug addict or something, and then the innocent person, like they all kind of, except for the Notebook is a little bit different. Other than that, all his movies after that are literally the same. It's really weird.
It really is, because you go from A Walk to Remember and then you go to that, and it's like, okay, you're trying to amplify a twist that doesn't even coexist with anything, that doesn't do anything to motivate your plot or anything. It's just there to be there.
Yeah.
He's in like Shyamalan of romantic books.
Yeah.
I can see Nicholas Sparks in front of a fireplace and having the pipe in his hand and like the classic music comes. I'm Nicholas Sparks, and for you today, I am going to be telling you a story that is going to be so awesome that there's going to be a twist inside of another twist. I am the M. Night Shyamalan.
No, he just rips off the mask face-off style. I'm really just M. Night Shyamalan.
Right.
That'd be hilarious. It's like a pen name. It's not actually him. They just hired an actor to like pretend to be him. That'd be great.
Right. But not to mean I didn't mean to get off topic or anything like that. But but let's see here. Then of course, there's also the other scene though with her having cancer and she goes, I'm dying. Well, first she goes to Landon and goes, look, I'm sick. He goes, well, we'll bring you to the doctor tomorrow and everything and you'll be fine. He goes, no, I am sick. Oh. Yeah. And that's light bulb. There's something more deeper that's going on.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that?
That's the twist I knew. I knew that she had leukemia, and I still enjoyed it. I don't know how I feel about people using that as a twist, like surprise. Like it was a little weird. But she did kind of like she dropped hints throughout the thing, like to her dad, said like, you said I could decide how I want to live my life or something like that. But kind of using it as a moment, like like shocking. That just kind of feels a little weird to me. But I like that to Landon, like he was still there for her and still continued to show up for her. And those moments in the hospital I thought were like really sweet. Mandy Moore did look pale throughout the movie. Like she did kind of look a little sickly. Like I don't know if that's like accurate look, but at least it wasn't like she looked perfect and her makeup was all done and everything and it was like, I'm sick. Like she didn't look the best, but I mean she still looked pretty. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like she didn't have no paleness to her skin to look like that she was sick. It's like, are you sure you just don't have the flu? Are you sure you just don't have
Yeah, but at least she didn't have like full makeup. Like she just looked kind of a little homely and a little pale. Yeah, natural.
Right. But yeah, I thought that scene actually worked out pretty well. I felt like she was able to grab onto the emotion of her being sick with this cancer that's been eating her up for a while. Yeah. So I definitely thought that was actually pretty good. I'm not going to say cool, but I thought that was actually pretty good acting from Mandy Moore's perspective on how she actually handled that. So what about you, Charlie? What did you think about that?
I think going in, like I said, I agree with Sarah. I didn't really call that a twist because I think it was like after like seeing the opening sequence, I'm like, am I gonna die? Like that's why I went on Wikipedia and I was scrolling through and I saw leukemia. I'm like, oh. I had a feeling it was that, but then again, it was nice that they didn't like they kind of portrayed it as like her not faking it in a sense because I'm interested what type of leukemia she had because again it's close because I had it and I was like I lost my hair I don't remember like as I was I was young when this happened and I don't have it anymore but it just that term hits home because that's what I had and it's like I was glad they didn't have her full makeup and it's like like that because that would have kind of like I would have been like all right I'm fast forwarding for this portion it's just because I would have taken offense to it because I went through it and it's not not all glamour and stuff. So I'm glad they didn't go that route. And it was like I like that Landon was staying with her the whole way through, no matter what, and that was cool. And then his buddy Eric showed up. He's like, "Hey man, your mom called me," and then how he was there for him as he was for Jamie, I thought that was pretty cool. You didn't see it, and it was nice to see the guy that he almost started a fight. He almost like sucker punched, like him showing up. Like, hey man, you need some help. To see him turn like not 100%, like yeah, we're on his side. No, we're still against you, but you had some redeem. But his ex-girlfriend, absolutely none. Like, I don't care that she apologized.
That was just out of guilt. I'm just gonna say
that was just like, oh, I got caught. Ooh, yeah, I'm sorry. And then it was like, thank God she left.
I agree with you on that one, man. I do definitely do. It's like, for example, if you have kids, which I don't, but it's that simple thing. Are you sorry for what you did and you know what you did, or are you just sorry because you got caught?
And here he feels the sympathy, like, oh, she has cancer, so I feel really bad now.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
sarcastic sorry, and it's like, you're not fooling anyone. Just get off the screen.
Right.
Yeah, that's the stuff that's what started to kind of bother me a little bit, where I was like, why are all of a sudden they're all kind of nice? How did they find out that she had leukemia? Like, did she tell people? Because we didn't really see that. It was like all of a sudden people just knew. And I was like, did it get out? Does she not want people to know yet? Like,
But Eric was the only one that had the redeemable quality, because he's been with Landon the whole time. He was there. He's his best friend, and he's the one that actually felt the most sympathetic, because he's been there with him the whole time. He's the one popular kid that is redeemable, like, the whole time, because he was there and he was funny. He was just there to help him out, and it's like that was the only kid out of a whole group that Landon hanged out with that was worth, like, you wanted to see more of him, because he was funny.
Yeah. But even at the wedding, like, everyone's smiling and stuff, and I'm like, y'all didn't like them? Why are you so happy for them right now?
There's fake smiles. Oh,
it was so weird.
And
I'm surprised nobody pulled a Daria and just pulled a newspaper out and started reading it.
Yeah, it was I don't know, that just kind of threw me off. Even like the best friend that was mean the whole time was suddenly like smiling and like next to the mom. Like, it was so, I was like, why would you be happy? I don't know. Like, and the relationship itself seemed very fast too. I don't know how long this movie was I guess it was supposed to take place over a year, over a couple of months. I don't know. I was like, they're saying I love you to each other. They've been dating for like a month or something, which I get, but I was like, oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah, the relationship didn't seem forced, because I've seen
it didn't.
And I saw that movie Dreamland with Finn Cole and Margaret Robbie. It's very one of the it was very, that one was forced. That one really seemed like forced. This one didn't seem forced.
Yeah, like, I believed when they're saying like I love you and all this stuff even before we find out she's like sick and dying. Yeah. But it still kind of felt like, oh, whoa, we're rushing. We're rushing a little bit, but I understand why we're all rushing.
Yeah. We were just talking, mentioning how I didn't think this relationship between Landon and Jamie seemed forced. In another movie I just watched recently, that was forced. Like, oh, she's here, he's here. Oh, I'm a criminal. So it's a movie called Dreamland with Margaret Robbie and Finn Cole. Yeah, that relationship was completely forced.
I haven't seen that one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'll be putting my review up for that one shortly.
Definitely,
back to this one. No, this one compared to this one, no, this didn't seem forced. And the only time it did seem forced is because it had to, just to, because we don't know how much time she has left. Because they didn't give a timeline of how much time took place. You just, after the wedding, they said summer, and then she was gone. So, and it's just
yeah.
I'm gonna here's something I wanted to touch base on for a minute, Sarah. This place takes place in a small town, right? I actually live in a small town. Everybody knows each other's business. So for me, it's no surprise that people know that she has lupus, because everybody likes to gossip because it's a small town.
That's true.
So, I live in a town that has maybe 1,500 people to 20,000 people in my town. I live in basically Mayberry, if you think about it. But that's the way I actually tell everybody. But, I can actually say that is probably why the news traveled so fast, is because of the fact everybody gossiped. Hey, did you hear about Jamie? She's got lupus. Oh my God, she's got lupus. We need to go check with Landon and see how he's doing.
That's true.
And then also too, maybe Landon's friend also said, hey, Eric ended up saying, hey, look, we need to pitch in. We need to do something for Landon because Jamie has cancer now. We need to put stuff away from what happened to her in high school and put away childish things and actually become grown up. Yeah. But to me,
Sarah's like, no.
I'm not like for those just how big of a prick those kids were. Right, besides Eric, I don't buy any of that. I'm sorry. It just seems,
I'm just thinking on like, one side of the coin, but I actually know
I can see that. But I mean, if the characters had redeemable qualities, none of them did except for Eric, because Eric was with the black guy. He was with them the whole time. The girlfriend barely showed that, and then when earlier in the movie when Landon drove the ex home, like she's like, my parents aren't home, and he's like, hey, we broke up. I'm like, you should have quoted Wayne's World. We broke up. Are you mental? Get the net. I mean that is very very persistent. Like, oh, you broke up with me, but I want you back. I'm like, just go. He said, don't you know what no means? He said no. But it's just, I don't know. It's like, and she was just annoying the whole movie. And she was like, when she saw the kiss, she's like, oh, I need to get, I get him back. I'm going to do a prank. And it blew up in her face. And then the pity, like, oh, I'm so sorry, but I can see why she chose you. The very sarcastic quote by her. I'm like, just go. Like, it was like she was not needed in the movie. I'm like, okay, just go.
She was not there I don't either. She wasn't there to motivate the plot. She wasn't there to do anything but cause mischief and mayhem and just be a terrorizer and everything to Jamie, to be honest with you. But yeah, I thought the ending. Right. But yeah, I agree with you guys both on the ending part. I felt like the ending wasn't forced. I felt like it was actually needed. Sometimes I'm like, I wish that they would actually showed us how long something would actually happen. But with this type of movie and things like that, it's geared towards teens. So, there's that. So I guess they want to keep the teens engaged into the storyline without having to incorporate the timeline. So I'm thinking, so I was perfectly fine with it. I actually like how Jamie gives Landon the book of quotes. Then Landon goes on ahead and gives the book of quotes over to her father, and they both hug each other and embrace each other. It goes to show you go from child to being a man and everything, because he thought as a child, he put away childish things, and now he's a man. And that's how I actually look at Landon, because now he's going to doctor school. He's in college. He's accomplishing his goals that he had written on that paper that his mom said, some of these things are going to be kind of hard. He goes, I know, but I can do it.
That made me cry too. I was like, that was so sweet. Yeah, when he was saying like he got into medical school and he was like, Jamie inspired me. And the one part where he said, Jamie never got her miracle or never got to see a miracle. And the dad was like, you were her miracle. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, this movie just I cry in every movie. So that's all the time. It's really bad. My husband makes fun of me because I just cry constantly. But this movie got me several times where I just felt like this was so sincere. It was just so touching. Yeah. And like you were saying, it was great to see Landon change and grow as a person, and it didn't feel like, well, that wouldn't have happened. Like, it just felt very like natural. Like, he did just grow up. I love how Jamie said to him, like, I think my purpose here was to help you and to help others. And I was like, that was beautiful and sweet.
Hey, Jay. How you doing, man? Hey, better late than never, buddy. Better late than never. Good to have you on in the comment section, man. It's good to have you on. Sarah's been great through this podcast as well. I just want to say thank you. It's great to actually have a woman's perspective on these movies, even though it's outside of her wheelhouse, though, too. So, I'm just glad. But, this has been a fun review, I really had fun doing this with you guys. Now, my next question, would you guys recommend this to anybody? to watch.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would recommend it. I would recommend it to people that don't really like super romantic, mushy movies either. Maybe people for like Valentine's Day or like date nights, or even just I enjoyed it. I watched it by myself and like I enjoyed it. And I think, you know, like sometimes when people are like single and they don't want to watch like romantic movies, like I think this is still a good movie regardless of where you are in life.
Right.
Before I get to that, I want to like add like I would have preferred like just watching it a little timeline, just like at least some point during it to know what's like how far is, because we don't know how long Jamie was out of the hospital and how long that passed between hospital to then getting married. We don't know. Like I said, I would have liked some leeway into that, because again, I didn't know how long she had left. Again, I would have liked that just from like just an information gathering, because it's like, because it felt like, okay, we're 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. Okay, now we're at the end. I kind of wanted like this for me is a refresher. It wasn't going to be in your face like fade to black 1 year later, like some of that. It wasn't nothing like that, but maybe there's a subtle mention. It's been like maybe like sometime later, or like just some sort of like timeline.
Yeah,
because that was the whole confusing part. I'm like, how long did this take place? Did it take place in a day, a month, a year?
I was like they threw this wedding together fast. Like that was a nice dress and a veil. Like it was all decorated. Yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, was this the next day, a week later? Like,
and then but yeah, I would have liked that. And John, I know you're smirking at me because like that inside joke. But no, like I said, for your like I said, the end of it, like I teared up a little bit because it hit me close to home, because this is something that I could have died from. I mean, I had this, and like I said, I was close. Like I said, but it hit close. But I saw that, like I said, John, I saw that little smirk there or inside joke. But yeah, I'm in the middle. I don't know if I would maybe recommend it. It depends on the person. If you're just trying to watch this some random like a moviegoer, or like and you're just trying to watch like just I just need something to watch. Probably not. You probably might want to need to get into the mindset of like, say if like you're doing a paper on a romantic movie, sure, this one. If you want to like probably one of the few like the better earlier before Nicholas Sparks goes to direct to DVD stuff, probably this is probably the one to go to. If you don't want to like go full on
pay attention,
like you don't have to pay attention or tissues all the time, then yeah, you probably want to avoid The Notebook. I haven't seen that, and that's the next movie we'll be John and I.
We're covering The Notebook.
Oh man.
It would be 3 guys, and then we're trying to get another perspective. So we're gonna have more people covering that movie, and I'm like, I'm not looking forward to that one.
And y'all are in for a treat.
You know what's funny?
Rating, so we're doing it.
You know what's funny though?
But yeah, like it depends on the person. Oh God, no. So it depends on the person. I guess it depends on what your mindset is. If you're a casual moviegoer and you look for something to watch, like just that, probably not. And like I said, you got to be in the right mindset really to that. But after seeing these, like if you're like fan of romantic comedies, I definitely, if you want like a nice comedy like spoof to know, oh, I get that reference. Again, I would recommend watching Not Another Teen Movie. It's funny. It's a spoof movie, and it's got Chris Evans in it, and it's the first movie I've seen him in. So,
oh yeah.
So I'm in the middle. Like it depends on the mindset before watching this movie, and it won't be on Netflix after this weekend anyway. So,
no,
that's true. It's a good movie to just put on though if you're like cleaning the house or just need something like background noise though. Like you don't really have to pay too much attention to it. So
all right. So with that being said, Sarah, where can everybody reach you at?
You can reach me on Twitter. It's at SCBock, so SSEABOCK. I also do 2 shows with Jay Wade that kind of popped up for a second. We do a Bachelor recap show. I mean, like I'm a fan of The Bachelor, but for the most part, we just kind of trash it. So like, I tell people to watch it because we just make fun of people and kind of tear the show apart, especially Jay. So we have a fun dynamic there. And then we're also doing a Marvel recap of the Marvel television shows called Over the Marvel. All on the same channel, all on Merc with the Movie Blog channel on YouTube and podcast wherever. And yeah, that's it.
Sarah, if you want something funny for The Bachelor, there's a video about a Foley artist that is a Foley artist doing stuff in the background to replicate the stuff from The Bachelor. Like he's eating lettuce to represent them kissing.
Oh my gosh!
Probably find on YouTube. Bachelor Foley artist. It might have been.
I'll have to watch that.
Might be Funny or Die. But
okay.
it's the if you want to like you're into like making fun of The Bachelor.
Oh,
this
yeah.
Foley artist, like you see him like doing random stuff like suctions to represent kissing or like eating lettuce.
That's
or
hilarious.
Like it's some funny stuff.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
And guys, if you guys want to, you guys can go on ahead and reach me at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Facebook, Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Instagram. Another thing too, guys, for all your entertainment needs and purposes and everything else, go to www.movieloversunite.com. And then, of course, you guys can go on ahead and donate to the page. I understand the pandemic has everybody's wallets in a wad right now and things like that. But if you want to, this is just to just have the lights on for us over here at Movie Lovers Unite. And how do you do that? You just go to you actually go to GoFundMe.com/Movie Lovers Unite. And that's actually how you get in charge of that. And then also, too, you guys can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Movie Lovers Unit, or you can follow me at Movie Lovers John DeGorio 8 over there, and then of course on Stereo at Movie Lovers Unit over there. Another thing too, guys, is we're actually gonna have some more shows coming up this weekend and also on Monday and Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. And you can find the audio version of this podcast wherever you get your podcast from. Thank you again, Sarah, for being on. Thank you, Charlie, for watching this movie. And thank you, Jay, for coming in on the comments. And always until next time, guys. Bye-bye.
See ya.